The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. Yeah!
In this podcast, I'm going to be joined by Glen Heffernan. He is the creator and owner of the bottom feeder vacuum system, and we're going to go over all the aspects of the bottom feeder professional battery-operated vacuum system. Leslie's Pool Supplies is a proud partner of the Pool Guy Podcast Show. Leslie's Pool Supplies has been do-it-yourselfers and pool trade professionals' trusted partner since 1963, providing quality products and services to make pool care easy and solutions and expertise to do it right. So I'm joined today by Glen Heffernan. He is the creator, the owner of the bottom feeder battery-operated vacuum system. Is that how you want to refer to it as?
Sure. It's commercial pool vac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how you doing today, Glen?
I'm doing okay. First hot day. It's always been, we had a little wind, which is always good. I used to, as a pool guy, I normally hate the wind. But now that I sell something that helps clean up after it, I'm starting to finally not quite get quite as angry when it's windy out.
That's funny. I like referring to the bottom feeder as the machine because I think that's what it is. It's just really a great tool for the pool guy and also for a homeowner that wants to have it for a pool that gets thrashed all the time. So can you tell the listeners why you invented the bottom feeder, how it came about that you created this vacuum system?
Yeah, so it's basically like all pool guys, you're always looking for a better tool. And so I bought, some of our competitors. I won't name names just to not be a jerk because I respect them a lot. But I bought their stuff, and it was that the commitment you had to make to vacuum a pool, right? Because you always have to go. It was always 2 trips to the truck. Like, okay, go to the pool. Oh, yeah, it needs to be vacuumed. Now I got to go back, get a cart. If you didn't have a cart, it's like trying to get that and the battery back to it. And it was just a bit much. So I actually started off just trying to make a lighter weight version of that. Maybe you could use a smaller battery or something like that. And I started going. Using it, I had some prototypes. I've been, it was probably about 8 years ago when I first started, grabbing stuff. And I took my competitors, one of their motors, and just put it on a different sort of head, a lighter thing. And then I went from there, and then looked for smaller thrust motors. They use a 36, I use an 18. So I just bought a trolling motor off the internet, and then put it in and went, that's better. You can use less power, so you can have a smaller battery. And I sort of went from that. And then one day, because I had a bunch of commercial accounts that have like lane lines and stuff in them. And with that cable, I'd still have to move it. And then you can't just move it across the pool because it's underneath the thing. So you'd have to unplug it from the battery, then move it. And I'm just going, man, I don't know. So one day I was trying these different lithium-ion batteries, just trying to look for a lighter way to go. And I remember one day I took one and I knew it was going to destroy it. It was like a $200 battery. And I just duct taped it to my pole. And I used a little small cable. And I ran it to the head. And I was vacuuming the pool. And there was nothing. It was not attached to anything on the deck. Nothing there. And I picked it up, put it in the spa. And I could see air bubbles coming out of it. So I knew it was a time bomb. But I went, I said, that's it. I said, I got to totally do it differently. It has to have a battery that is the thing. And then, and that's where I got the idea also to do the battery pack along the pole. So the head doesn't have to be so bulky, and that's where my patents are sort of basically the idea of how the battery pack goes on there and it's along the pole, and that kind of a thing. So it was really just like any pool guy. I got this tool and I wanted to make it better. And it was that huge gap between those little dust busters on a stick, which are great for like spas and little stuff. But as soon as you have any debris, it's, it just plugs up. It's like a coffee filter in there. And then there was these big boat anchors that you just have to drag around. And there was this huge gap in the middle. And so I was trying to fill that gap. And first of all, I was sort of designing against the bigger guys. And then pretty soon I was just trying to make something that worked. And then it ended up taking its whole different shape, just the whole idea of how it went. So that's basically the reason why I got into it, is because I was a pool guy trying to get my day done faster. And then it's just sort of, it's sort of adapted along the way into what it is now. And it's still adapting. I'm still making changes all the time.
You're talking about the evolution of the bottom feeder. Why don't you tell the listeners the current version you have now, which I think is probably a very complete version of the cleaner, of course. But you can tell them, you start at the beginning where you were just talking about, and where the bottom feeder is at now as far as what it comes with, how it looks, things like that.
Yeah, so the bottom feeder now, and now I've just made another change. When I first made it, I was just using little angle brackets and not the welding. It was the manufacturer said this would be better, and then it made it a flaw. So now the newest one, that one I was in the shop this morning trying to find the best, fastest way for us to put the angle brackets on is no welds at all. And so the good thing about that is going to be that it's modular. The top and the bottom sections can be separate. So I think in the future I can sell if a guys aren't very handy or can't put a motor in very well, I can just have it already pre-installed, and you'll literally just have 4 screws that you put in. Screws with nuts that you put in around the throat, and then you can have a new thing, or we can sell a complete bottom half. If it's gotten beaten up over the years from use, or everything's getting stripped, you can just get something that's fully complete, wheels, handle, everything you need except for the motor section, and sell it that way. So that's one of the sort of the new evolutions that I've just gone to. And then other things, the other thing that's coming, and my motors are one of the only things that I have to get from China because nobody makes that small of a motor. So as I've learned more about how motors work, I've been able to redesign it so it's going to theoretically spin slower but have higher torque. But I'm not noticing any performance difference really. So I think because it's trying to spin so hard against the water, it actually slows down more than it does with the new design. So I think the overall speed underwater is about the same. I haven't done any exact testing, but the good news is it's 2.5 to 3 amps less power being used. So I haven't done the testing yet, but I'd imagine we're going to get at least 20% more battery life. And then, so in researching how DC motors work, I just realized that you could actually put a thinner wire in with more windings, more wraps around each section, and it basically slows down the motor but gives it more torque. And so it's going to run a lot cooler, and you're going to have longer battery life. And those are coming probably in the next couple of months. But the good news is it's for any guys that have the current one and the stuff, it still works fine. You've been using it for a long time. I've been using it. But when you get the replacement motor after that one fails, it's going to be this newer style that's going to give you a longer battery life, and I think it's going to have a lot longer motor life too because it's just running cooler. It's a lot less work for it. And then when I first did this, I wasn't going to design bags because there's so many different bags in the world for pool vacuum bags. And then, but I was having all kinds of problems and complaints from guys about stuff. So I finally found some fabric that seemed to work very well. And then I'm actually working with one of our filter manufacturers. It's right in Chatsworth. One of the major manufacturers is doing the sewing for me. But I really like the fabric, in the bags. It seems to last better than my competitors from what we've used, and it's just it seems to be a little bit more durable. And the 57 I like because it seems to be able to hold a little more than like the competitions like Micron bags, their lower stuff, and the Volcano bags before it gets plugged up, depending on what type of debris it is. But I've been having good luck with that. So and then I just went to 3 sizes now, just 20, 30, and 40 inches long. Is basically just something to make it just sort of simple so guys sort of know what they're getting. The small, medium, large is 20 inches, 30 inches, and 40 inches. And that goes that. And then the other thing that came up a lot, and I've been actually trying to do since the very beginning, is switch, right? So the way it was originally, when you get the bottom feeder, you plug it in to start it and stop it. It wasn't ideal, but it was still so much better than the big machines and trying to work with those. So I finally, after many trying different switches, different things, have come up with the switch on the cable. And the good thing about that is then the cable is replaceable. It's always removable from the thing. And so everyone comes with another cable. If you don't get, right now we're calling it the portability kit. In the future, we're just going to go to, I think when we're going to sort of do a 2.0 launch sometime in the next few months. And it's just going to it'll cost a little more money, and it'll have the portability kit built in. So the portability kit is basically a handle that allows you to carry your bottom feeder completely assembled with one hand, a pole extension, so you just have to click the pole on and connect it on and off, and a on and off switch. It does make life a lot easier when you can just carry it in one hand, because I literally carry my pole and the bottom feeder in one hand and my little caddy in the other, and I have everything I need. Every time I go to a pool, even if I'm not sure if I need to vacuum, I can just bring it along. It just saves me that extra trip to the truck.
Yeah, so I think you pretty much covered the evolution of the bottom feeder. I think the on-off switch is definitely a game changer. It makes it, a legitimate product at that point. I think we talked about that before.
Finally,
Yeah.
legitimate product.
As far as okay, now here's the thing. For me, I find the battery life is not a big issue because I can vacuum typically a 15K pool or 15,000 gallon pool
Yeah.
in about 4 minutes. I mean, you don't have to hook it up to anything. You just plug it in or turn it on and drop it in there, and you move it pretty quickly on the bottom. So to me, hour and 50-minute, 2-hour battery life. I know you mentioned you're going to have a longer battery life coming in the new motors, but to me, I don't think it's a real big drawback. Do you find a lot of guys saying that it's the drawback or not?
No, not any. Most guys are surprised how long it lasts. Is actually what I get from guys. They're like, "Wow, that," because I think they when they realize how much quicker the pool's service goes, how much longer you're there, they're surprised how long it lasts. But in the fall is when you get those calls from guys. Can I charge this in my truck? Can I do all this stuff? I said, yeah, you can charge in your truck, but it's like a 10-hour charge time. So you're not going to get that much, but you could get an extra pool if you have put an inverter in your truck. You can get a little extra time out of it. But I said, really, if it's $450 for the replacement battery, online, and that's where I make my least profit, because lithium-ion batteries cost so much. But it's so worth it as a pool guy when if you know you have a tool that works, and you can just spend more money to make it work longer to get your stuff. I think for me anyways, is whenever I did something as a pool guy, I didn't mind spending the money as long as I know it works. So that's why I usually tell guys when they're buying it, just get one battery with it, and then see how it is, and then if you need another battery, then it's going to be worth it, right? And then it goes good. But the cool thing is, and what I love is I at least get a call or an email every week from some guy going, this machine is just, it's changed my pool stuff. I said, and a lot of guys say it's an hour and a half less in their day. So, it's that great thing where you either have more time in your day, or you can add a couple pools and have and get more money, and so it's cool for me as a pool guy for years, and I go to all these trade shows, and you're always looking for that great new toy to make your life easier. And I bought so many things that didn't work, and so it's good for me that somebody now who's on the the manufacturing end of it, to be making something that's actually making pool guys like have a really measurable change in their day, and that's sort of the fun part for me. And then one day I hopefully will make profit doing this, because I haven't been doing that yet, but any minute now, huge profits.
Yeah, and I know you covered a little bit of the bags, the size of the bags, and I guess in this industry we always talk about microns. It's one of those big things that we're fixated on. So can you touch on the microns of each bag that you make? That way the guys kind of know how they compare to the other vacuum systems out there.
Yeah. So right now I have just two micron sizes. We have the standard bag that comes with the machine. Generally, it's a medium and a small that you'll get with the machine. Two bags, unless we're low on smalls or something, then we'll give you two mediums. Because manufacturing is especially during this time with coronavirus stuff, is like, it's so the supply chain is spotty. But so those are 100 microns. And I put those outside of other 100 micron bags of people that claim they're 100 micron to check, and it seems like the stuff that was going through theirs wasn't going through that. So it's definitely a 100 micron bag, or it's better than what other people claim. And then the other one is a 57 micron bag, is my fine bag, and that gets and that works really well on a lot of finer stuff. You still get the silt blowing through and all that. On some of those, and it still does seal up if you have a lot of dirt, debris, DE, things like that will plug it up, but it just lets you get out the smaller stuff. And that's why I went to the 3 sizes, so you can put a 40-inch 57 micron bag on there and then get a little more debris. And I'm still working on the bag stuff. I'm still trying to find a way to make it so they don't want to get sucked into your propeller, and we're testing stuff by using a stiffer fabric, maybe as an outside covering, so that way it doesn't push in, because if you go to like the competitions make something like their heavy duty bags, one of the competition makes, they're great because they won't ever get pulled into your vacuum because they're stiff. So I'm sort of playing with the idea of being able to do that while making it also, cost effective enough that I don't have to make the bag cost a fortune. So we're still playing with all those ideas, trying to make that better. But for now, it's 57 micron and 100 micron are the 2 bags I have. Probably will go to a coarser one in the future, but for now, that sort of covers the stuff. And there's so many bags available, especially in the coarser stuff and stuff like that work fine. That I'm not trying to corner the industry yet, but it's just the kind of thing for us just to try and, because we're still a small company, we have to keep our inventory sort of under control, or else, because I have no investors or anything like that. This is all me as a pool guy from the Valley in Southern California trying to, start this business, and it's, 3 years in, we're doing okay, but it's touch and go always with the cash flow. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and then the other aspect of the bottom feeder that's new is the filter assembly for the bottom feeder. It's basically a cartridge filter that you can put on top, and you can filter the pool down to about 20 microns. You want to go over that one a little bit?
Yeah, so that was I was trying to come up with an idea because there's the problem with those finer micron bags is you can't hold a lot of material, and it's guys would always say, do you have a I'd go to a trade show and they, do you have a finer bag? Like, what's the smallest? I said, you can put a garbage bag on it and nothing gets through it. There's nothing goes through, but then it's plugged instantly, right? And so that's the problem with the smaller micron bags. So the only way to get around that is square footage. So by putting in a 60 square foot cartridge filter, then suddenly you have 60 square feet of 20 micron remade fabric. Then it allows you to do more. And so it's not as, because I was, I went to algae pool. I remember doing my first test, and you're like, okay, here we go. And you get about a quarter of the way through and it's plugged. You got out. So it takes like cleaning your filter 4 times to do it. But then the next day we just kept the filter running. There was no, it was perfectly clean, but they had main drain suction on that one and stuff. So it does get a lot of finer stuff, but it's great for the sands and the silts that get through there when the volume's not so big. But I had some big commercial stuff. I had this one commercial pool that had so many kids in it. It'd be like chum on the bottom, like literally like human tissue all over the bottom. And it would plug up everything, like the bags, anything. And so I would get a couple of my filters, and it would plug up the filters too. And I just hated cleaning the filters. They had no drainage in the the equipment room. It's all the stuff as pool guys we have to like, oh my God, I just want to be able to clean a filter without it being a nightmare. So this way I could do that and then just clean them outside. My own filters. I just have 2, one backup one, and I could vacuum out this whole pool, and then none of that stuff's going into the system and all that stuff, and it was great. The thing you'll notice with it though, and especially when it's brand new, is when you're vacuuming stuff, you'll still see some stuff clouding out of it, like the super fine stuff. But a lot of times you don't notice a lot of resettling. I had another commercial pool where I had no main drain suction at all. And so I would just use that every time. I would vacuum once a week. I think it was a 3 call, that one. But I would vacuum it once a week. And after about 3 weeks, then pretty much all the stuff was gone off the bottom, like the powder that would kick up. So it will eventually pick it up if you use it, continuously. It's just because you have to clean it, and I recommend cleaning it every time. I know you did a bunch of pools without cleaning it stuff. I just recommend doing it every time because I sell it. When I sell it, we give you a little bit of one of those little spray nozzles, and then you can spray it down quick. And I carry like a 10-foot hose that I can just put on my caddy, and then I can just give it a quick spray down. And basically, I have to go inside, outside, inside, and then done. And I can do that in about 3 minutes, just doing a quick rinse, and then I know it's always ready. And then you'll really notice how fine the stuff is picking up when it dries out in the back of your truck. And then you bang on it, and you just see that super fine powder coming out. It works great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty revolutionary because then, one of the drawbacks of the vacuum system is you still have to manually vacuum a lot of pools because of the finer dirt and silt doesn't pick up. But with the cartridge filter assembly, you can just put that on top of the bottom feeder, and basically you're using a filter on top. So very innovative. I think it kind of closes the gap between having to have a manual vacuum. I don't even carry my vacuum hose on my truck anymore, basically, because this thing works just as well as vacuuming the pool. And then the bags, of course, to me, the bags filter down. And for most pools, the bags are enough, but if you have the fine silt in the dirt or the, as you said, the chum,
Yeah.
couldn't stop laughing there. I had to kind of back away from the microphone.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I tested it too was at this commercial, and the assembly has come a long way. I literally had a band strap around the bottom, this thing trying to make it sort of hold it in, but I used I think it was it was a bigger filter. It was a sort of ungainly thing, and I had it on there, but somebody had they did the underwater plaster repair, and so they're under there, and it just was the whole thing just had that fine plaster dust all over the bottom. I'm like, oh, I just can't. It's between that and bead blasting, when you come in behind them and you're just like, oh, what jackasses. They don't have anything to clean up after their work, and then it's the pool guy's job. So I came in there and I vacuumed and I'm going, holy crap. I'm going, this stuff's actually staying in the filter. And then I went in the back in the control room or in the equipment room, and I was spraying it out, and it looked like paint, like white paint coming off of it. And I went, oh, yeah, I gotta do this, because it is something you cannot do with a bag. Because I tried it with a bag, and it was just poof, a big dust cloud, smogging up the whole pool. And then I did it with the other one, and it did just it make it so much better. It's not magical, because it's more ungainly than a bag, so. I know actually there's some guys, I think I talked to last time I talked to some of your guys, that use it only with the cartridge, but I don't know what, they don't do pools in Chatsworth, if they could do that. But, and it's still, the good thing about the cartridge is it does have that hollow, the big section in the middle, so you still can hold quite a bit of leaves and debris and stuff. And yes, it gets on the inside of the pleat, so you get little berries and twigs that don't come out between washings sometimes, but you don't have to be that careful, because they'll just sort of stay in there. They just stay in the pleats and that kind of a stuff, and so that was actually my moment of thing was like, wait a second, why don't we just run the water inside then out, and then it just has to go right on top of there. So I thought I was being clever. Nobody else had thought of it, and I do have a patent pending on it just in case, but we'll see. I just seem to like to spend money more than make it, so. That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be unbiased with the products that I review or that I use myself, and I've used all the vacuum systems, all the major manufacturers of them. And to be honest with you, I'm using the bottom feeder a lot more than the other ones because of the convenience factor. The whole thing weighs like 12 or 13 pounds. Carry it back to any pool all the time. Unlike, like you said at the beginning, when you have to go back to your truck and get the vacuum system off to bring it in. So for me, it's a super convenient vacuum system. It doesn't have the same kind of clout as driving around with the big old vacuum system on the back of the truck. You may not look quite as professional, but to me, that doesn't really matter. What matters is something that's going to work well, that's portable. And believe me, I've used all the handheld versions too of the other manufacturers. They weigh like a ton. So this is definitely a big change. So it's a whole category by itself, I think. I don't think you're actually competing with the other ones. You're in your own little category there. You're much better than the WaterTech systems that you mentioned earlier, but you're a lot more convenient than the larger vacuum system. So for me, the bottom feeder is its own category of a vacuum system.
Yeah, and that's part of the the problem we've had from the early days is people doing a price comparison between mine and one of the other ones, and I was like, okay, theirs doesn't come with a battery at all. There's no battery, and the better batteries still, by the time you get a good high-end battery, you're $200 or $300 in, and it's huge and it's heavy, and so ours is the heart of the system is the battery. That's what makes it different. So it's that trying to get people around that. But as soon as it's that word of mouth, and when guys see it, I remember my brother told me a story. He moved from here to Vegas, and he was working for another pool company, out there, and the guy's showing him around. As this guy's he's the anal pool guy who has to make sure Doug knows what he's doing. He's been a pool guy for 20 years in LA. Like, he's not going to be able to do some stuff with some sand in the desert, But so this guy takes him around, and they go and he says, "Hey, I brought my brother's. He invented this cleaner. I brought one along and stuff." He said, "We don't really have time for toys, on this mission. We got things to do." And then so Doug says, "Hey, you know what? Just let me grab it anyways out of the truck," because he went to this pool and there was actually leaves and stuff in this pool. He said, "Just let me grab it." And then he puts it in the water, and the guy's all, "What am I looking at here? What am I seeing? How is that working?" And that, it's like, what is going on? And it was that, and then now that guy's bought 12 for all of his guys, and it's all that stuff. But it's that funny. It's that initial thing is like, it's another one of those cleaners, it's another thing. And so guys don't get it. And the idea that I flip it upside down from most of the other cleaners, except for the fountain edition type of thing. But so that the propeller's right off the water, so you can vacuum. If you use the thruster ring that we put in there, it's basically an O-ring that goes around your propeller. If you use that, you can vacuum it in 4 inches of water or less. So you can get the Baja benches or whatever they call them, and the different, I know the different regions have different names for those. The little place where people can lay on in the water, and the top steps and the stuff, and you can do the little fountain that they have on the side and the front. It was that basically for me as a pool guy, I wanted something that I could just clean everything with a vacuum. So it's but it is all about that battery. And I remember talking to one of the other manufacturers, and he's like, "You're doing a battery?" It's like, "Oh, I'd never do that. Wouldn't touch that." And I get it. The reason probably why I'm not profitable today is because of those early, battery failures, what doesn't work, what does work, and all the stuff we had to go through. It's like when you're spending, when 75% is cost, and you're only making 25% on a sale, and that's not even including the labor and stuff. I was eating a lot of stuff as I'm learning to do this, but it's also the reason why we've gone sort of small growth. It's because I wanted to make sure I have a commercial duty unit before we blow up, so that when the guys are buying them in Florida and they're breaking down, it's not like, okay, then they don't, because when you have to wait 4 days to get something back or something, or more, or a week, it's frustrating for pool guys, because I am one, so I get that.
Yeah, and I guess I can mention too that since you have the propeller on the bottom, one of the problems with the vacuum system, the propeller is on top. So if you're vacuuming a pool with stringy debris, which happens a lot here in California, that blade gets jammed up pretty quickly. But since yours is on the bottom, I hear from all the guys that rarely does the bottom feeder get jammed up with any kind of debris.
Yeah, the only thing that happens eventually is if you have a lot of longer, stringier leaves, is the connection on the side. It'll start to build up on there. Like if it gets that U shape as it goes around there, and so it'll go in there. So, but all you have to do is pick it up to the surface, pull it out of the water, and push it down a couple times, and it just goes rips it all up and throws it in the bag. So you don't have to take it out, fish stuff out of it, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so let's let the listeners know where they can actually learn more about the bottom feeder, where they can order it, and all the other questions that they can get answered from your site. What's the website?
So it's swimmingpoollearning.com. Oh, and I'll give them your cell phone number, and you can just tell them about it, and then it'll save me all the money. Then I don't have to pay somebody to answer the phone. It's genius. No, so it's our website is thebottomfeeder.com. So make sure the word "the" is in there. Thebottomfeeder.com, and then we have actually some of your videos are linked up on there and stuff. And I've got a couple of videos that I put up talking about different things. I'm gonna have to update those. I'm just sort of waiting for the last generation. Then I'm gonna sort of update what comes in the box and all the stuff, and how to hook it up. But there's information on there, and I have some videos of me doing stuff in my pool with the filter assembly and the other stuff, so guys can take a look at that on there. And it's the best way. And then you can send us an email to sales plural at thebottomfeeder.com. sales@thebottomfeeder.com, and then that goes to my internet guy Joe and me, and we'll get back to you with any information. And there's a toll-free number too, but we can give you a call back on that. Usually it's sometimes we can pick it up when it's ringing, but we're busy with a lot of other stuff. But we'll get back to you for sure the same day, usually the same hour. And that number is 833-433-7665.
Thanks for taking the time to record this.
Yeah.
You can just rename it the machine, you know?
If that's what you want. Like the bottom feeder, it sucks to clean pools, isn't clever enough. As a pool guy, I remember I came up with our slogan, it sucks to clean pools. It was on a Friday, and it's one of those days where you just spent the whole week vacuuming all your pools because it's finally hasn't been windy, and you're just okay. I got them all done, and it's Friday, about 2 p.m, and the wind just kicks up and it's blowing, and I'm going, God, this sucks. I can't even believe it. And just wait, I got the bottom feeder. It sucks to clean pools, and that's so I was like, I trademarked that right away. And then
funny. The funniest one though is Jeff from Pay the Pool Man. He made hats for his guys that said Pay the Pool Man. That's his app.
Yeah.
And then customer saw the hat and it says Pay the Pool Man. He realized that might be a problem, you know. After the fact.
Yeah. Hee. But
yeah. So, again, I appreciate your time. It's definitely well worth it for the listeners to learn about the bottom feeder, the machine.
Awesome. Thank you, David. It was great talking to you again, my friend.
You can also go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, and find out more information about the bottom feeder. And if you're in the industry and you need more help with your business, definitely check out my coaching program at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. Leslie's Pool Supplies has been do-it-yourselfers and pool trade professionals' trusted partner since 1963, providing quality products and services to make pool care easy and solutions and expertise to do it right.